I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. No, no, that ain't happening. Get off. Get out. Look at the size of that.
Good morning, everybody. Another day, another very exciting day, and we're starting with a witch. Now, it's in a very strange setting. It's in somebody's back garden. It's a headstone. So I've taken some pictures of it, and I'm actually stood at the side of the house now. I'm not going to film outside someone's kitchen window. It just doesn't feel right. Anyway, this is a headstone, and on the headstone it says 1722. And it's where a witch is buried called Janet Horn, and she was the last witch to ever get found guilty in Britain. The first thing I should say is it says 1722 on the headstone. That's wrong. It's actually 1727 when it happened. I don't know why it's wrong. I don't know. Somebody did that. It wasn't me. I'm just filming it. So the story goes, there was a neighbour who lived next door to Janet Horn. She was also known as Jenny. Lived next door and said, I went to like the police or whoever and said, look, I think I've got a witch living next door to me because she's a bit weird, like senile, which she was, and she rides a daughter to the devil. You what? What do you mean she rides a daughter to the devil? What are you talking about? Well, a daughter's got like deformed hands and feet, so I'm pretty sure she sits on her back and rides to the devil. Oh, all right then. And I think when she gets to the devil, they have sex, and I think they had a baby together. That's what they told the courts. So this is a true story, 100% true. It went to court, and the judge found her guilty. He found her guilty of witchcraft. The daughter actually escaped. She got away, but she didn't do anything wrong. She was just being ridden on to get to the devil. But Janet herself was seen by a court of law in Scotland as a witch because her neighbour said that she rode a daughter to the devil, had sex and had babies with him. So the judge said, okay, I'm sorry, but this is what we're going to charge you with. This is what your punishment's going to be, sorry. We're going to strip you naked, we're going to get a paintbrush out and paint you all over with tar. We're going to put you on the back of a horse and cart, standing on top of a barrel, and parade you through the streets, and then we're going to set fire to you. Is that all right? Now, she ain't going to say, yeah, that's all right, is she? She's a witch. She's not a witch. She didn't do anything wrong just because her daughter's a bit deformed. It's the most ridiculous story I've ever heard in my life, but it is, and I haven't made any of this story up. This is 100% true, and she was the last person to be convicted of witchcraft in Britain for that exact story. I've never heard anything as ridiculous in my life. Unfortunately for the witch Janet Horn, it was only 9 years later that they stopped prosecuting and killing witches. They made it against, they said it isn't against the law to be a witch probably because there's no such thing. That's what I'm guessing. So she were a bit unlucky. She were a bit 9 years too early. But the name Janet Horn is actually the name they give to all witches in Scotland. It's like Jane Doe for dead people. They call her Jane Doe if they don't know who it is. Janet Horn is the name they give to witches. So a real name we don't know, but it's probably not Janet Horn. So yeah, that's the story of the last witch, and it's in a fascinating place, it really is. I'm glad I saw it because I've never seen a witch. I've never been that close to a witch. I do like witches. I think they're alright because I don't think they did bad things really. I think that's just a myth. I think witches pretty much just do like little spelly things. What they do is they get like leaves and twigs, you know, make little silly, like a little man out of twigs, and say that's going to make somebody better. It's all rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. It's like Anodin, you know, the headache tablets. They don't work. It's absolute rubbish. It's just like a myth. And witches are just doing like mythy things, not doing anyone any harm. They're just a bit mad. But yeah, it's not against the law anymore to be a witch. Janet was just unlucky. Are we moving on?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Come on then. So here we are inside Castle Sinclair, Gurnigo. An amazing castle, it really is. There's so much to see. Most of them it's just like one wall left and a bit of inner, but there's a lot left of this, a lot of different rooms. The tower looks really impressive, and I thought you could get in it, but you can't. Unfortunately, it's all falling down, there's scaffolding up everywhere. But just down there was a gate to stop people going through. Someone's pushed the gate off, and there's a sheer drop, so that's very dangerous. I didn't know that. Prince Charles was here and he put that stone there 12 years ago. Prince Charles, woo, I feel like royalty. Look at this as you come in the gate. Now, I don't like things added which weren't here originally, but I'm sure there was something similar to that once upon a time. To say it's falling down, it's actually quite intact. There's quite a lot to it, a lot to see, a lot of rooms, a lot of doorways, towers, arches, dogs and medulies. So the castle was built in 1476, or between 1746 and 96, so over 20 years. But I was telling you a story at the Castle of May about a guy who put his son in prison, and his brother tipped off the authorities that he was trying to escape. Well, it was here. This is where it was. I didn't know that until I've actually got here. But basically, it's a guy called John put his son in prison here, George Sinclair, sorry. George Sinclair put his son in here, John, and he hated him. He put him here because he thought he was trying to knock him off his throne type thing, yeah? Plotting against him. So he put him in here for 7 years, and he eventually just thought, I want rid of you, I can't stand you. So what he did is he just fed him on salty beef, no water, and he ended up going mad and insane from the from dehydration. So this is what the castle looked like over the years from the 13 to 1400s, and then we go from 1400 to 1530. You can see the extension. 1530 to 1610 extended even more. 1610 to 1680, it's massive, it's massive. So this dad, George Sinclair, he kept arguing with all the neighbours. He became known as Wicked George Sinclair. He kept arguing with all the neighbours. Ooh, the dogs are going for a woman, as they do, as they do. And because he kept arguing, he were arguing with the Sutherland clan. And the Sutherlands came over to have a go, so they came over and they had a big fight for 11 days, but they just could not beat Wicked George, so they ended up retreating and going away. Anyway, Wicked George spent so much money doing this place up, because he just kept expanding it and spending all the money, and in the end he couldn't afford to pay his bills, so he did a runner. Left his castle to stop the debtors catching him. The fact is, the castle used to be Castle Gurnigo, and because George Sinclair loved himself so much, he renamed it Castle Sinclair in 1606. Now, so it's got two names, but for some reason, it's still got this Gurnigo name. People still call it Castle Gurnigo, some people call it Castle Sinclair. So, people think it's two different castles, but it isn't. It's exactly the same castle. So the castle hands over to George's son, and then it hands over to his son, so George's grandson, and George's grandson sells the castle. Do you know who to? The Campbells. He sold it to the Campbells. The Campbell was his cousin, Sir John Campbell, his cousin. Now, the funny thing is, his cousin says, all right, well, you can still live here for the rest of your life. You'll be happy. And then it's my castle once, you know, it's still my castle, but you can still live here. So that's what happened. And then when he died, there was a big argument, big fighting, because the family of the Sinclairs didn't know that I'd sold it to the Campbell cousin. So the Sinclairs were saying, whoa, it's our castle, he's died now. The Campbells were saying, no it ain't, he sold it to us. And there were a big fight, massive fight over it. So the Sinclairs didn't want to fight physically with the Campbells because they knew they couldn't win because the Campbells are hard, big bullies. So what the Sinclairs did, rather craftily, is they ripped up all the floors, took out all the furniture, even the roof. They took everything out of the castle and did a runner. Just took it all with them and did a runner. The Campbells did eventually catch up with them. They had a bit of a battle and they kicked their bums in, basically. So the Sinclairs did lose the castle. The Campbells got what they wanted. They always did, they always will. And oddly enough, this is the end of the story, guys. Oddly enough, just 30 years later, the castle was handed back to the Sinclairs, and the Sinclairs have had it ever since. It still belongs to the Sinclairs, or at least the Sinclairs still have a hand in it, and they actually have like a trust where they're trying to raise money to restore it. As you can see, there's scaffolding in it here, and they're trying to stop it from falling down. And it's an ongoing project, but it's going to cost them a lot of money, and I don't think they've got it anymore. So people, that is Castle Sinclair, Gurnigo. I hope you enjoyed that place because I loved it. I love the stories, I love the history, I love the architect, and I love its location. Beautiful. So we've just found a stone here, and it says it's to commemorate the people of Inver. All the people around here who basically just left all the homes and left this place so that they could use it for the D-Day landings for training for, what, from December 1943 to May 1944. So all the military will have been here doing the training, getting ready for D-Day. It does say, you know, the contribution made by the people of Inver. I don't think they'll have had a choice. I think they'll have been kicked out of here. And I cannot understand what this stone, why a stone and why that stone. That don't make any sense. Why don't you just have a picture, a photograph of everyone from the village? You know, that'd make a lot more sense than just some big stone. Some more training which went on in World War II was using these wooden torpedoes for practicing. What they used to do, there was a ship called the HMS Owl, and these, if you can see it, the Fairy Barracuda torpedo bomber, these bombers here used to fly off HMS Owl with these wooden torpedoes. Concrete? Everyone's telling me concrete. I thought I read wood. Concrete. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I got it wrong. I'm really sorry. I don't like misinforming you at all. It's made out of concrete. So they had these attached to these planes which set off these boats, off these ships, and they dropped them in the bay just here for practicing. And there's a local farm here who had the contract to recover them because there's like a ring in one end of it, so they could attach a chain to it. And the farmer had a job of going down with his horses and dragging them all back so they could use them again. There's a holy well down here. Well, a well. It's just a well. There's a big plaque telling you all about it. Can't be bothered, to be honest. Some local woman said it was holy and they used to have to do stuff with it. I got told I'd really like it. It's absolutely disgusting. I've never seen anything as disgusting in my life. It's just like a big grate, a sewer grate. So the water from this so-called well, which looks like a sewer to me, they still use it today. One family, the Earls of Cromarty, still use it for the baptisms of their family. And that started out from a witch called Kirsty Beag in the 1600s, who started this when she baptised one of her kids in here. The perfect mocha. I don't normally do mocha. Don't think I've ever had a mocha actually, but it just said double choc and I fancied choc. It's alright, it's alright. Right, fast forwarded from when that video was made. I'm still editing. I've edited I think about 7 videos from my trip with Martin and Julie. And I've probably got about 5 to 7 still to do. So, and that's taken me 2 days, so still here.
So join me next time. Hopefully I'll have found my shaver by then. And please remember to keep donating. Go to diggingthecourse.com and click donate and give all that you can to help some seriously ill children have a wish come true at Rays of Sunshine. Come on guys, dig deep. All the links are in the description. See you next time.
On Digging the Coast.
3, 6, 5.